Rabbi, welcome back to Yerushalmi Peah. We are holding towards the end of Gimel and Base. Okay. Now we said that we were talking about the Cohen Chagiga Alas Re'iyah, and you have Masechet money. Now, really, you should buy korbanos, which are obligations from Chulin money. Right now, Chagiga is an offering that you have to bring, so you should use Chulin money. But if you're bringing Chagiga a big amount, more than your obligation, you're allowed to throw in a bit of Chulin money together with your Masechet money in order to buy a korban. So So how are we going to do it? So he says, Adam Teifel Behemas Behema. So you can add extra animals. You've got animals bought from Masechet, and you can add an animal bought from Chulin. So you'll end up with two animals, one for your Chagiga, which you use Masechet, the other one from Chulin, and bring them all as a common Chagiga. So each animal comes from separate money, one from Masechet, one from Chulin. However, you cannot add Masechet money to Chulin money to buy one bigger animal. Right? In this opinion holds you've got to have two animals, one from each, but not one big animal with money from each. That's what Mishlakish holds. Now, Rabbi Yochanan, he said, Adam Teifel Adam Ma'is Lema'is. No, you are allowed to add the money together to buy together one big animal for your Chagiga. But don't add a separate animal from Chulin money and a separate animal from Masechet money. He doesn't want you to do that. He's rather you have one animal made up of all the money together. Because he holds you shouldn't bring for Cohen Chagiga an animal which was bought completely of Chulin money. You understand? In the Hebrew article here, it says L'kucha kula min ha'maser, but it's not maser, it's actually Chulin. Right? If it was bought completely from Chulin money, they hold you shouldn't buy bring a Chagiga from that. Now the Gemara discusses bringing extra animals for your Chagiga. So hey Chavida, so how can you do it? So how in front of Esther Babe. So imagine you have 10 animals for your Chagiga. You brought 5 on the first day of Yom Tov, and the remaining 5, can you keep them for the last part of Yom Tov? So are they considered Kol Chagiga, which has got a tashlumin, you can bring on the last day of Yom Tov? Or maybe they're like the Dorid, right? Free will things which you can't bring on Yom Tov. So Rav Crispa, he said, is Palgud, one says yes, you can push them off till the Yom Tov Achron and bring it there. And the other one says you can't push them off to the Yom Tov Achron. Right? Don't push them to the last day. We don't know Manamada. We don't know who said which did. We don't know which Amira said which Kabbalas is Doicha Yom Tov Achron, which one's not. We don't know. Our Rav Zira, so Rav Zira said, Nefarish Milan Rabbanon. We learn the words of the Chachamim Min Milan from their own words. We'll see who said what from another din which they said. Let's see. Rav Yochanan to Amma, he said Adam Teifel Ma'is Lema'is. He said use the money and mix it together to buy a big animal, big Chagiga korban with all the money mixed in. But don't start just adding separate animals, so one from Masechet money, one from Chulin money. He didn't like that. So it must be, Hudu Amma, he must be the one who holds that you can bring your remaining animals and they are pushing away the last day of Yom Tov and you can bring them then. So the fact that he obligates you to bring on every animal, there's Masechet money in it and Chulin money, he doesn't allow you to have a separate animal just from Chulin. The fact that he says that, he must hold that every animal has got a proper din of Chagiga, you see? And that's why it's got a din tashlumin, and it can be brought on the last day of Yom Tov. You follow that? So because he holds each animal has got all the money in it, and it's a proper Chagiga offering, you didn't bring it first day Yom Tov, you can bring it last day Yom Tov. It's not called a neder, it's not called an adava. Okay? That's what he must hold. But Rish Lakish, Rish Lakish who said, no, he said you should have separate animals. He said, Azam Teifel Behema, the Behema, you can have a Masechet paid for animal, you can have a Chulin paid for animal. Adam Teifel Behema, the Behema, the Ein Adam Teifel Ma'is Lema'is, he didn't want you to have all the money mixed together for one big animal. Hudu Amma, he must hold Eila Doicha. So if you've got any animals left over after the first day Yom Tov, you cannot bring them on the last day Yom Tov. The fact that he allows you to use all the money together He holds only the first animal is proper chagiga, the very first one, right? Not the other animals, not the remainder. So if you don't bring it, those extra ones on Yom Tov Rishon, they are like Nidarim, Nidavos. You can't start offering them on the last day of Yom Tov. And he said, he said, even if you separated animals for a chagiga offering, you can carry on and be magdish more animals for your chagiga. And you can push away, even as Yom Tov, even the last day Yom Tov, doesn't matter, more animals, bring more animals, no problem. Unless you said, unless you said, enough, I'm not bringing any more. There's too much meat in the house and not enough people to eat it, right? So unless he said that, then you can carry on bringing more chagiga offerings and you can bring them on Yom Tov and he's not bothered about it. Okay, back to the Mishnah now. What did we say in the Mishnah? One of the things which has no limit. Gemilas chasadim. Okay, gemilas chasadim. Now, doing kind deeds that you're doing begufa, like comforting the mourners, Havaya, Simchas Chassan and Kala. Ava b'mamayna, spending money for mitzvahs like tzedakah, yesh lo shiur. It does have a limit, right? Tzedakah has a share. Pidyon Shavuyim has a share. Pikuach nefesh, okay, there's no share for pikuach nefesh, but we're saying it does have a share, okay. But if it's in Kaidar Hashem and Lakim Shem Yedim and Chanina, Nivna Busha, they decided that you should separate at least, or not more than a fifth for mitzvahs. So Gemilas Chasadim, with your money there is a shir. So when the Mishnah said there's no shir, that's what you're doing with your body. But with your money there is a limit. Now some Rishonim learn from here the same thing that other mitzvahs say in the Torah. You shouldn't spend more than a fifth of your nachasim to do a mitzvah say. Now, the Mishnah mentions mitzvahs which have no shir. We said not min Torah, not min Rabbanan, but they put a shir for gemilas chasadim with your money. Okay, the Mishnah is talking about with your body, but not with your money. We said with your money there is a limit. Okay, let's see now. Yeah, one second. Yeah, not spend too much. Okay, we'll come to that. We'll come to how far one has to go with that. Next question. How far do you have to go? What are you going to ask?
Chaim is just considered 5%.
We will see. No, it's a fifth.
Fifth.
It's a fifth. We'll see. One said, so the amount of Truma Gedala and Trumas Maaseh, which is 1 in 33 and a third, and not to give less than that. But the other one said, respect Hashem from your possessions and all your grain. What should you give honor to Hashem from your money? Like the share of Truma Gedola, which is 1 in 50. So this is the share, not to give less than this for the mitzvah of tzedakah, right? He says 1 in 50. He said, now, the idea that Takana of Rusha was, don't give more than a fifth. Now, what does that mean? A fifth every year? If you give a fifth every year, by the time you have year 5, you're not going to have much left, right? It can't mean that. So you're going to do this, you'll have nothing left. He says, first year, Karen, out of your principal, set aside a fifth. In the following years, it's only a fifth, lesachar. It's from your profits. Whether it's profit before tax or profit after tax, I can't tell you. But it's from your profits. It's probably your profits before tax, I would have thought. From the profits that you've made. I may be wrong. He's saying the first year is from your principal. The following 4 years is a fifth of your profits, according to what he's saying here. What you earned in that year, not from the principal. Right? So if you've got, let's say, 1,000 zuz, you'll give 200 the first year. After that, you invest the 800 zuz in the stock exchange, and you earned 100 zuz. So you can give until, say, a fifth of that 100, so another 20. Right? But don't give anything from the principal. You've already separated a fifth from the principal. Okay? Now, there is a girsa. So we're learning, actually, Chalas Usha, don't give more than a fifth, right? The Rambam, in Perush Mishnayos, he learns, you should separate a fifth from your nechasim, and that you're obligated to give at least a fifth. That's how the Rambam's learning. Now, how we understand this, I mean, the Bavli, however, says you shouldn't give more than a fifth. Right? Ali Vazbez Yosef Chomesh, the Bavli says. So it sounds like it depends on you how far. Don't do more than that. But not that there's an obligation to give a fifth, right? It's also to give more than a fifth. And the Rambam himself has got in Hilchos Zerachim says different. And here he says you're allowed to, Midas Chasidus. So how do we understand the Rambam? So they want to say there are two separate takanas. So the Bavli is talking about if you've got no poor person in front of you, you want to scatter your money around, you're looking for the poor. You're throwing it out, right? In this situation, so don't give more than a fifth. You shouldn't spend more than a fifth because the person himself might become poor. Whereas the Yerushalmi is talking about where he's got poor people here in front of him, right? And the Torah commands you, open up your hand. There's a chiyuv to give the poor what's lacking, right? Therefore they said there's a chiyuv to give, you have to give until a fifth, right? Not more than that. If you want to give more, that's midas chasidus. Okay, so they put more an obligation to give when the poor people are standing in front of you. That's how some want to learn. That's what the Yerushalmi is talking about. You understand? So it depends on what the situation is. Okay. Rav Huna, the mitzvahs are shlish. Rav Huna said the mitzvahs you have to spend until a third of your nechasim. Now, the Bavli, of course, has the question, does it mean shlish medagav? Is it a third or is it a half? Is it a third of the total amount? Is it a half? Is it a third? That's the Bavli's got a question there. Now, right, what have we got here? Yeah, I mean, you're giving a third for mitzvahs. I mean, Usha said don't spend more than a fifth because you might become poor. And now we're saying ad shlish. So there's obviously a difference between Usha's takana, which was before for mitzvah tzedakah, which is not mitzvah veres, doesn't depend on specific time. That's throughout time, throughout history, right? You've got mitzvah for a long period of time. As opposed to, let's say, an esrog that comes along. That's a mitzvah veres, right? The esrog is here now. What are you going to do? Are you going to buy it, right? So tzedakah is throughout, so they put limits. We don't want you to be poor. Don't spend more than a fifth, because that will be all the time there'll be tzedakah. Whereas, a mitzvah to do with time, like esrog, if you don't buy it now, you'll end up losing out. You won't have a mitzvah. So it could be you have to spend even more than a fifth. You understand? So it's a one-off thing that might come about. Maybe you have to spend more than a fifth, even it will cause poverty. Okay. And they all the poskim also discuss. So the Gemara's question: are we looking at a period of time? Are we looking at a one-off thing that happens? Okay, let's carry on. Mahu, what does it mean? The chala mitzvahs are shlish, all the mitzvahs together till a third, or the mitzvah achas, one mitzvah. Some maybe they wanted to say the chala mitzvahs, all the mitzvahs together are shlish. Rav Avanam, he says, I feel a mitzvah achas, even one mitzvah until a third. Right? Now, Rav Chanina B'Shem Rabbanan Taman, they said, Ma'u shlish, what's this third? Ledavim. A third of the money that you want to spend for this mitzvah, you have to do for hidu. Hey Chavida, how do you understand it? Lakachot mitzvah, you buy, let's say, an item for a mitzvah, Barachas, you find a nicer one. No, a nicer one. Then, but the price is a bit more. I love how much do we say right now? Spend more to buy the second one. Shlish, until it's more a third than the value of the first one. Okay, so you look for the better one. So you have to do shlish. So if you would have bought a normal one, you find a better one, then swap the other one. And if it's until a third, you should pay for the more expensive one. Okay, now it doesn't mean you go on and on and on. And then someone comes with another one, and another one, another one. It doesn't mean that. Okay. This din of Hidur Mitzvah, Rabbeinu Tam says, well, if that's the case, based on what you're telling me, you find a nice, better one, you'll have to go and add another third. And each time, there's no end to it. So Rabbeinu Tam learns that esrog has got a fixed amount, a certain amount. One is bigger. Okay, add a third to buy the bigger one. But if you've got two big ones, there's no chiyuv to get the mahuda one. He says that they're two equal ones, and one slightly more mahuda, they're more equal. He says no chiyuv to get the more mahuda one. All right.
Sure, we have the story of the guy who did that and then got the diamond on the first.
Yeah. The Gemara is mashma actually here that if you bought one and then you find a better one, you should swap it and add another third. Yeah, to buy the more expensive one. But you'll have to return it. You return one and spend a bit more. Yeah. So anyways, you've got this Rashi Rabbeinu having a discussion here as to how far does it go. Yerushalmi is bochach like Rashi. That it seems to go on and on. You find another mitzvah which is better than the first. You have to spend money. Rabbeinu Tam is the one who says, well, how long does it go on for then? No end to it then, according to Rabbeinu Tam. All right, let's move on. You can make Hashem beautiful, and I will make myself beautiful. But mitzvahs, esel von lulav, nice lulav, sukkah na'eh, sukkah shofar na'eh, tzitzis na'eh, tefillin na'eh. I'll make all these things. Notice, esel of I will make. It doesn't say I will shake a nice lulav. It says I will make. Remember, Yerushalmi gives a lot of reward for the Hechsher mitzvah, Rabbi Isai, right? The Yerushalmi holds making a bracha for making the sukkah. Remember that? Mm-hmm. So therefore, here as well, maybe even making it in a nice way. I suppose when you make it, you're making in a nice way. Sukkah, shofar, this is nice, really nice. I'll beautify myself. He says, Adam alay, I will be like him. I'll be like his midas. Ma'achan and racham, if he is merciful, you should also be merciful. By the way, Hidu mitzvah, some Rishonim hold it's a mitzvah min ha-Torah. Okay? Others hold Hidu mitzvah is only Rabbanan. And this possibly quote, Zekeli Rabbe is only an asmachta. That's how someone to learn. Ma'aseh Rabbi Yishmael. He gives everything away. You shouldn't give till a fifth and not more for tzedakah, not more. Rabbi Gamliel, like Now Rabbi Gamliel, now he's sending a letter to Rabbi Yishmael. The Chachamim gave institute not to give more than a fifth. But he lived before the Takana was in place. Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Levi, this originally was the halacha not to give more than a fifth. But Yadav, and then Rabbi Gamliel is Chaverim to kind of Sanhedrin. And then Shokor, they forgot it. But after the Chacham Sanhedrin and Shneim, they went up, the new Sanhedrin, and they reinstituted the Takana of the previous one, so not give more than a fifth. So there was a time when they had this, then it was forgotten and reinstituted. To tell you, if they work tirelessly to come out with something with the takana, so for miskaid, it will survive. Right? Kamasha Nema, as it says, the Moshe says, if it was given to Moshe of the Sinai. So we see this story, the Beis Din of Usha merited to be mechaben takanas chachamim, which was already a previous takana, even though they never had this tradition from their teachers. So they reinstituted something which was there already. Okay? In this story, the Sanhedrin of Usha were right. This is what the Chachamim in the earlier generations had put together. They weren't really following the Torah din, but it's as if it's given to Moshe from Sinai. That's what we're saying here. Okay. Some say this is talking about the first takana not to give more than a fifth, which was with the earlier Beis Din. Okay. Let's carry on. Va'asya v'tzin k'ed Rabbana said, That Moshe is like what Ramana says. This pasuk that not darshan it. Let's see the way to darshan it. Now it should have said it's not something empty. It's not something empty. The Torah is not empty. We don't need the word mikem. But this is how you read it. If the Torah is empty before you, then mikem is because of you. The lama, why is it appearing in your eyes? It's empty. You're not toiling in it. If you would toil in it, you would know to dash and understand it properly. And the pasuk continues, Afki hu chayechem. This is your life. When is your life? And shashat again by when you toil in it. Okay? Right? Moshe Rabbeinu is telling the Jewish people to put it to heart. Look into the words of the Torah. Their eyes, their ears should be ready for the words of Torah and to understand it. Okay. Rav Tanchuma b'Shem Rav Huda. Right? You did all that Hashem commanded Moshe with the Mishkan, yeah? What Moshe commanded him doesn't say. And Hashem as Moshe. The Torah is telling you, things he never heard from his teacher. His schema datzai. Hashem agreed to what he was saying to Moshe never on the Moshe Sinai as if it was given to Moshe at Sinai. Remember the Gemara Brachas where Moshe said, make all the kelim and then make the Mishkan. And Bezalel said, surely it makes more sense to make the Mishkan first. and then make the kelim, yeah? And they said, yes, you're right, this was right, Zachav, this was the Kibbutz HaEmes, and so on. That's why it was done in that order. Rabbi Yochanan, B'Shem Rabbanah, Kashir Siva Hashem as Moshe, after Hashem commanded Moshe, some came to Moshe, it's Yeshua, Yeshua also listened to Moshe Rabbeinu. He didn't change from anything Hashem commanded Moshe. Hashem Siva, he said Moshe Exib Khan, doesn't say what Moshe commanded him. And so Siva Hashem as Moshe. I feel to him, Shalai Shabbat Pi Rabbi, he didn't hear from his teacher, his Kima Dasa. They all agreed to what he said, Moshe Nevel, Moshe Sinai, as it's written, to give it to Moshe at Sinai. Rabbi Yochanan B'Shem Rabbanah, Rav Chuna B'Shem Rebbe, we find the praise of Aaron HaKohen, the Heilige Zakin, the elder, Aaron HaKohen. Teres Emes Haisa B'Fiyav, the Torah in his mouth, you never found any avla in his lips, the double wording there. Teres Emes Haisa B'Fiyav, Eilu Dvarim Sheshamah Pi Rabbi, things he heard from Moshe Rabbeinu, and the Navi is praising him. Right, he heard from Moshe, he gave to everyone exactly how he heard it. But Avla Le'Linsa B'Svasav, we're praising him. Afilu Dvarim Shelo Yisham Pi things he didn't hear from his teacher, but he understood them through himself, through his toil, that they were also true. Rabbanan Amrin, Hashem Yeh B'Kislecha V'Shav Rag L'cha Milached. Hashem will be with you. Kislecha is your foolishness, and he will guard you. Afilu Dvarim Sha'ad Ksilben, things you didn't learn from your teachers. V'Shav Rag L'cha Milached, Hashem will guard you. You shouldn't fall and get trapped because you don't know them. You'll be able to understand them through your toil. Rav Daisa Amay said, "Min ha'araya, you won't stumble in giving a wrong sack." Rabbanan Amay they said, "Min ha'avera, that you won't be machshel at people getting avera b'shogeg." Rav Levi Amay said, "Min ha'mazikin, that from the demons, etc., that you cannot guard yourself against them. Hashem will guard you." Oh, Rav Abba. In Nasat, this passage we quoted, Hashem Yeh B'Kislecha. In Nasat B'Kislecha Tzedakah, if you give tzedakah, then Hashem will save you from the taxes. Min HaZimiyos and various other fines. Min HaGulgalayos and some of their head taxes. Min HaNuriyos and from the other council tax, not exactly, but more Masa Behema, very other taxes and so on. We have a story for you, Rabbi Sai. Mudvaz HaMelech. Now Mudvaz, he was the son of Queen Helene from the Hasmonean dynasty, right? The Medrash says he himself was a ger, actually, according to some. There's a whole discussion on that. So what does he do? He gives everything out to the poor during the famine. The family say to him, our fathers added everything, increased the treasures, but you, you're giving everything away. And he said, how much more so? I gave everything for a good purpose. They put those treasures in the ground. I put them in heaven. So the schus of tzedakah is in heaven, and it's like going to pay back for one who gives tzedakah. They put money into stuff which doesn't produce anything. I put it into something which produces fruit forever. As it says, that they will eat the fruits of their endeavors, the tzedakah that you're giving, you're going to have the fruit in this world. They put money somewhere where hands can get hold of it, other people can take it. I put it where a hand can't take it. So the schus of tzedakah is high up there under his throne. So they put their storehouses money, and I have gained souls. So the tzedakah, by giving it to the poor, you're reviving people. It's as if you have acquired their souls. Okay? Usha said, don't give more than a fifth. And yet he's giving it all away. So according to one opinion, the Utakana of Usha was that if you want to give it to someone with no poor people around, or when there's poor people around, you can give more. So I understand, here he's giving it in the time of famine. There were poor people around, right? It could be, in the day of Mudvaz, this takana wasn't yet applicable. Because he lived in the second base of Mikdash Mudvaz. So that might be before the takana anyway. Okay? Whereas takana Zusha was only after the base of Mikdash was destroyed. Okay? When they put their stuff for others, I got it for myself. So the tzedakah is yours. They put it in this world, and I put in the next world Shadam as a Staka Tatsum Mothers. So there we are. Now, Loimis, now you're going to tell me a person who gives tzedakah doesn't die? So what does it mean, tzedakah tatzmei maves? Ella, Loyavos Misa Lasilama, he will not die in the next world. When he gives tzedakah, he's gathering stores for the next world. Tzedakah Gminas Hasadim, Shakulas can I get kol mitzvahs Torah? They correspond, they're equal to all the mitzvahs of the Torah. Each one is equal to all mitzvahs of the Torah. Ella, Tzedakah Nahages B'chaim, tzedakah is to those who are living. Gminas Hasadim, other kindness can Nahages B'chaim, people are alive. U'veisim, and people are dead. Right? And Levaya, Hesped, eulogy, burial. Tzedakah Nahages Aniyim, tzedakah is only for the poor. Gminas Hasadim Nahages Aniyim, Ashir, the poor and the rich. Tzedakah Nahages Ma'amad Shaladam, is your money. Gminas Hasadim Nahages Bein, but mine is with your money, and Bein Begufa also with your body. Yeah. Rabbi Yochanan, Marim Shem, Rabbi Yochanan, Ein Anu Yodin, Ein Zemen Chavim. Which one is more beloved to Hashem? Is it tzedakah or is it Gminas Chesed? Because Chaim says in the passage, Chesed Hashem Ha'elam Adon Manireav, Sikasa Livnei Banim. So the Hadar, what does it mean? The Chesed of Hashem is on those who fear Him and tzedakah. Hadar Amra, Gminas Hasadim Chaviva Yaisim and tzedakah. Gminas Hasadim, we learn the Chesed Hashem, right? What you're doing, Rabbavis Hashem, that's Olam Adolam. And Sikasa, which is tzedakah, that's Livnei Banim. You understand? That's for the later generations. So the Schar Gminas Chesed is greater. It carries on forever. The Talmud Torah. Shadows, Yeshua. They asked Yeshua, Ma'ashi Lamed Adam es B'nai Yivonis. Can you teach your son Greek? Right? Can you teach your son Greek? Now this Lashon here, Pashas they learn, this is not the Greek language. This is more Chachmas Yivonis. This is a Lashon which was made out of hinting and winking with the descriptions with your hands. We're not talking here about the Greek language, right? Amalah, he says, they don't teach it, when it's not day or night. You'll see it, you'll learn day or night. If that's the case, that you can't learn anything else, you have to learn Torah the whole time. Then how are you ever going to teach your son a trade? Now, Rabbi Sai, remember, Yerushalmi holds it's very important to learn a trade. Yerushalmi stresses it. Look at this, Rabbi Sai. This is your clip. What does it say? Begin Nechsiv. Ve'agisa b'yom v'layla. Are you going to tell me you can't learn a trade? But we learn with Ishmael uvachata b'chaim. Choose life. Zuha omnus. This is a trade. You have to have a trade through which you earn a livelihood, Rabbi Sai. And if anyone says no, you just tell them, have you learned the Yerushalmi Peah, which says uvachata b'chaim. You have to have a trade. So you see, so Hagisa b'yom v'layla can't tell me you can't learn other things. No one says you can't learn other things, do they? So you see the Torah is commanding you to have a trade. Can't be you can't learn other things. It means you have to learn when you've got time. Fixed time for day and night when you can learn. But you have to have a trade. Now maybe you're going to tell me you can't learn other things. You have to learn the whole Torah. And you're still allowed to learn a trade, but you can't be a Mevatel Torah to learn Yivonis. He says, no, Limud Lashon Yivonis is also a need for Parnasa. Through knowing that Lashon, your words are heard and so on. Okay, so what do we see here? The famous Yerushalmi, which holds it's important to learn a trade. So Rabbi they said, really you should learn this Chochmas Yivonis, as we said. And it's a mitzvah to learn a trade. But don't learn this Greek, because we're worried by knowing this language, you'll be close to the king. You will give over the names of those who are speaking bad. People will give bad knowledge, bad information about the Jewish people to the royalty by having the connection with them. We don't want that. So we're worried by, as we'll bring a story soon. You can teach is Greek to your daughter, Neshi Tachshima, it will get her somewhere in life. It's a praise, it's a beauty. Shama Shimon Bava, he heard what Bava said. He says, begin, do. Boy, Malafa Benase. You want to teach your daughter this, so you say it's allowed because you want to teach your daughter. You want to say Rav Yochanan said it. I don't think Rav Yochanan ever said this. Okay. Now there is
him.
Huh?
He told his daughter.
He
told him.
He said you could teach your daughter. So Shimon Bar said, because you want...
But not your son.
No, he's saying your daughter. He says, because you want to teach your daughter this, you're saying Rav Yochanan said it, but I don't think Rav Yochanan said it. But there is a Gemara, in the Gemara in Yerushalmi in Shabbos, it brings the story there. You want to teach your daughter. Ravo heard this. He says, I definitely did hear it. Ravo heard it. It was the name of the... Yes, he really did hear it from Rav Yochanan. Okay, now this story about the Ramozim. So that's the famous story where we had the civil war. We had it, brachas. Civil war. At least there was a reference to it because we had a similar story in Yerushalmi and we have a reference to Bavli of Hyrcanus and Aristobulus when they had the civil war and they would bring money and the animal would be raised up on the walls and once they brought a chazir and the world scattered around. Yeah, do you remember that? And then they wanted to take over the town and they couldn't. And one Russia went who knew this language. He hinted to the Romans who were outside in Greek. And said, as long as they bring their karbonis, you won't be able to be succeeding against them. And then he said these words, and the other people listened, and they brought the chazir, and the chil Hashem because of all that. And that zaken could speak to them in their special language without the other people knowing it. This lashon yivonis, which is made of hints and so on. Therefore, the chachamim forbade learning that language because of the malshidim. Okay, so we brought more Bavel Baba Kama as well. It's not talking about the Greek language. It's about this hinting sort of language. This Sivanis. Yeah. Okay. So there we are. Kivud Aveim. The mitzvah which we included in the list. Kivud Aveim. Rabbi Shem Rabbi Yochanan. Shalos Rabbi Lezer. They asked Rabbi Lezer, "Hey, Kivud Aveim. How far does one have to go?" Malani said, "Liatzim Shalim. You're asking me. The Chuva Shalos Dama Ben Asina. Go and ask Dama Ben Asina. Even a guy. See how far he went. Dama Ben Asina Rosh Pitra Chayli Haya. He was the head of the army. His mother slapped him on his cheek in front of the whole legion. And her shoe fell off, and which he hit him with. And he passed it to her. So she shouldn't be able to go. She shouldn't have pain. She'd have to bend down herself and pick up the shoe. Okay. He came from Ashkelon. Again, head of the army. Now, even so, the stone that his father sat on, he never sat on. When his father died. He made that stone into an idol, and all because of respect to his father. Once they lost the Yoshvei stone, of which was in the Choshen, right? The Bavli has got one in the Ephraim, but Yerushalmi says in the Choshen. And Shal ben Yavin. Amru, they said, who's got a nice stone like it? Amru, they said, it's David ben Asina. They went to him, we'll give you 100 dinar for the stone. He wants to go and get it. His father is sleeping. The key of the box was underneath the stone, was there between the fingers of his father, and you couldn't open up the box without waking him up. And some say, the father's leg was stretched out over the box, so they couldn't open the box. He went to the Chachamim. He said, I can't bring you the stone. They said, maybe he's saying that because he wants more money. Askune, they raised the amount of Masechet to 200. And what happened? He didn't accept. Askune, they raised the price more. Elef to 1,000. And he didn't accept. They went away. They didn't know. They thought he just wasn't interested. When the father woke up, he went and he brought the stone. They wanted to pay him 1,000, what they'd agreed. Like Hamilai. He didn't want to take it, he only wanted 100, like he'd first agreed. They said, what do you think? I'm selling my father's covered for a bit of coin. No benefit from that. What reward did he get? Rose we would. That night, Yada Parasa Paraduma. Paraduma was born that night. They paid its value in gold. and he took it away. So they took it from him. So in the end, he did ask for money, right? You got Paraduma's weight in gold. Why Paraduma? They discuss it. 1 minute. Now the Bavli says you can't buy Paraduma from a guy, and also you shouldn't buy the Choshen stones. And what about Boman and Sunnah? So the Bavli says there were merchants in the middle. There were go-betweens, Jewish merchants. They bought the stone and the Paraduma for themselves, and then they sold it on. Right? Back to the commission on the Paraduma, right? Okay. Gemara is mashma. He didn't want to sell the stone more than what they agreed, and Hashem paid him with Paraduma. Okay. The Bali says they didn't go and buy the stone, and Hashem paid him anyway that he had a Paraduma, and he sold it to Israel for the money he'd lost from honouring his father, for the amount that he would have earned had he sold them the stone. Okay. Rav Shaksai. See what it says. So we learn from this. Hashem does not delay the reward of those who do mitzvahs amongst the nations. He pays them straight away. He doesn't delay it. Rabbi Sai, the mother of Rab Tafan. Rabbi Sai, we've said it before. We will say it again. Who's Rab Tafan? Any offers? Any offers? Now, when I ask that question, I only mean one thing.
Gilgal.
Who was he a Gilgal of? Rab Tafan. Rab Tafan was a Gilgal of Yirmiyahu Hanavi. I have said it. I said we've said it before. Rab Tafan Gilgal Yirmiyahu Hanavi. Yirmiyahu Hanavi was the one who blamed his mother for the day he was born. And Rab Tafan goes out of his way to respect his mother, as we shall see. The mother of Rab Tafan goes to go for a walk in the courtyard, and the strap comes off her shoe. So he puts his two hands under her foot, so she shouldn't get dirty as she's walking. She's walking on his hands, and she reaches her bed. Rab Tafan was ill. They go visit him. The mother says, his he should get healed. Should I be covered? Yes, but I go so far. They said, what does he do? It turns out, she told them. They said, I feel like who does it a lot. There's only half the Torah obligation he hasn't even reached that. If Yishmael's mother complained about Yishmael, Rabbi Seder, and she says, go over Yishmael, be covered. He doesn't give me respect. They got a bit embarrassed. He doesn't give you respect. They said, no, Rishma doesn't give respect. They said, what happens? She said, when he comes out of the base medrash, I want to wash his feet in water, or mishleman, and I want to drink the water. But he doesn't allow me. They said, they said, look, if that's what your mother wants to do, she wants to drink the water that you washed your feet in, you have to let her. That's her comment. Ramana said, it's right what people say, those who grind the flour. Every person, his lottery is in his basket. How much flour he gets, a lot, a little, all depends, everything's in his zuchus. So you got two stories, Rab Tafan and the mother of Tafan. You got the story of the mother of Yishmael. Different things. Image of Tafan, the mother of Tafan said, Achin, he gives a lot of respect. And they answered him, yes, Rab Tafan has to do more. But Image of Yishmael, what she said to him, the mother of Yishmael said, Achin, that he doesn't give her proper respect. And they said, yes, he should do this. If that's her will, then this is what he should do. Rav Zeira, he was sad, he had no parents. But he says, I wish I could honor my parents. So I can inherit Gan Eden. When he heard these two dinim from about the stories of honoring parents, he said, Baruch Hashem, he says, I have no parents. Like Rab Tafan, not Rab Tafan who worked so hard to honor his mother. I couldn't have done that. Like Yishmael and the obligation of Yishmael to drink the water, I couldn't have done that. I couldn't really take on that. So he's happy he had no parents. Okay. The Mefarshim ask, what's he asking here? someone hasn't got parents, can't do kibbutz avayim. The Gemara says it could be Rav Ava. What's it? Rav Ava, where's this? 15. No, we're not up to that yet. Rav Ava, Pater Adim Kibbutz Avayim. I'm exempt. Our brother said, Kadaros Le'ebe, when his mother was pregnant with somebody, when his father died, before he was born. Kadilite, when he was born, Misas, that's when his mother died. So they ask on this, so well, of course he's Potter. So some say talk about grandparents. He's Potter from the mitzvah of honouring grandparents. That's for someone to learn. Others learn is Machadish, there's no Chiyuv mitzvah even after they die, not like a Tan in the Brisa who holds there is a mitzvah to give covered even after they die. And that's why the share is in Nishmas, my father. Yeah? Shabbat Tzia, then? Shabbat Tzia, Yaakov, Natavel, okay? So it's on the poster, my father's name, Zul in Nishmas. So there we are. So what we got here? So that's how some want to say that of course there's a mitzvah after they die. Some give their father to eat nice fatty meat. It looks like you're giving respect. And he's not good. You get the father to grind in the mill, and you get the reward. Okay, so you give him healthy, big fat food, but you don't get praise for that. There was someone you gave him nice big chickens. Chazman once, the father said, "Bereave my son. Where do you get it from?" He says, Saba, Granddad, what do you care? Eat and be quiet. The dogs eat and are quiet. But it's a he gives the father the best food, he's not going to get any reward for that. You put him in the mill and you inherit Gan Eden. A man was grinding the mill, the father's there, someone's doing it, the father's next to him. The agents of the king come along, we need workers for grinding the king's stuff, and the workers take from the family. So the son says, Abba, you grind here, Tachtai, and I'll go instead of you, go to the king. In Mitas Mevazaya, if there's design of the servants of the king like there is, it's better I go than you. Totally Anavlayat. In Mitas Milki, and if they come to give lashes on the servants of the king like they always do, totally Anavlayat. It's better me and not you. You get the father to grill, to grind, and you get the Gan Eden. Now it says, but now it says, you should fear Hashem and you honor your parents. We're comparing fearing parents to fearing heaven. And also it says, with kibbud avayim, kavod avicha, honor your parents, kavod Hashem and honoring Hashem from all you have. Hikish kibbud avayim, kibbud hamakom. Just like Hashem commanded to honor Him, we also have to command one's parents. He also says, one who curses one's parents with skila, the name ishki again, we're comparing the cursing, the killas hamakom. One cannot start hitting HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We don't find any hashra, any equation in that. And it's right that kibbud avayim should be equal and Moira to kibbud hamakom, because we have three partners in the person when it's created, HaKadosh Baruch Hu and his parents. Now, can we carry on? I suppose we're right in the middle here. Go on, a few more lines. Ezel Moira, what is fear? Don't sit in his place, or the father's place, don't speak in his place. Right, you're giving advice, don't go there and start speaking instead of your father. Do not contradict his words. Right? Do not contradict his words. Ezel kibbud. What's kibbud? Ma'achel and mashke. Give him to eat and drink. Malbish and mallet, clothes and shoes. Ma'achel is the you take him in and take him out if they need help. Now it sounds like you can't argue on your parent, your father. Now the Rishonim ask, we find many places in Shas where machlokes is halacha between a father and his son. The Torah argues with the Rosh. Right? You find many cases. So many hold the Issa is only in front of him. Others say the Issa is when you're pushing away the father's view and you're showing his mistake. When you're saying you're bringing proofs that it's okay. And some say the Issa is only other Yonim, but Divrei you're allowed to argue. Right? The Bavli brings about Machriyai, where you have different opinions and you say, I think he's right. Saying that in front of your father. I think so-and-so's right. I do a big Machriyai. Min Deman. When the Chassid, now Rabbi say, who has to pay for things that the father needs? Now you'll know in Bavli it says, Bishel Ha'av. The Bavli holds that it's up to the father to pay for his own stuff, right? Now, Yerushalmi is not so clear. I think we will do this next time.